Welcome back to Good Fruit Investors. Last week we talked with my mom just about her journey and how she got to a place where she was able to set up a financial plan and see that there's hope at the end of the tunnel. So I wanted to just kind of sit down with her now and just go over maybe just some strategies or tips that she feels might be good, because I think a lot of our listeners are usually in the same spot. I think a lot of times we get we overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And even when we look at a situation, we see everybody else doing so well, and we think that our situation and we're the only ones that are isolated in it. But it's actually the reverse of that. I think most people are probably in a position where they're not actually financially structured well. They're not setting up with a financial plan, and they're actually having more difficult times. So I think that by just even giving tips, I think we could probably help the audience just kind of move the needle a little further ahead in their own financial journey and see how they can actually do it themselves. So, what is one of the biggest things that if you were to break it down into one nutshell and you said setting up a financial plan, the biggest headache that it removed out of your life, what do you think that would have been?
I think it took the guesswork out, and you kind of feel like you're more in charge of your life in finances.
Right.
I would say that's probably the biggest. And I think it also broke it down. I was feeling like I didn't know what I could do, and this kind of gave me some really practical benchmark steps that I can take to say, no, there is a lot that you can do still, even at your age. So,
They say that actually anxiety, like a lot of, just because again, I have a social work background and also just, being a minister as well too. Like they say that a lot of times with anxiety, it's the fear of the unknown. And so they say that actually when you understand something and you're able to articulate it, that actually your fear and all the cortisol and everything, whenever you're thinking about that, actually reduces, because it's more of a reality now. And then you can actually, and then when you start making those actionable steps, it starts to reduce it over time. So it's a pretty big point, I would say. And I think that
and
probably
I,
a lot of us are walking around like, I know that I've done it in my past as well too, when I didn't have everything very clear and have a solid financial plan. And as I keep growing it, it becomes easier and easier.
and I think as a Christian, trying to balance, okay, God will take care of tomorrow, which He does. But then also saying, but He also gives us wisdom, and how can I look at my finances for the future? And so we always had the God will take care of tomorrow. And some of it, is because you really don't know what you're going to do. So it's easier just to sometimes ignore it. And I found sitting down with a financial planner kind of got us saying, okay, let's look at this. Let's practically look at it. And you're a very practical individual. So you
Sure.
were really able to challenge my mindset,
Yeah.
on some of those areas. To
Right.
be able to say, no, let's look at the practicalness of this and what are some of the things that you can do. And I think, if anything, it gave me peace and it gave me empowerment.
And the cool thing too, like when you're saying about even with your faith, like, because I think for a lot of time, a lot of the cases, when it comes to your faith, there's this generosity component that goes along with it. And like even at Good Fruit Investors, we give a huge chunk of every dollar that comes in to support communities. And so the whole idea around that is to keep that generosity, the mentality around
Going.
generosity up. But just even with life goals, you might say, well, I'd rather just, give, my life away. And so I want to be able to do that, right, for my community or whatever it is. That's that Christian, mentality, right, of generosity. But the cool thing is, even with a financial plan, it's not saying that you're giving that up. Right? You can actually bake those types of things even into a strategy, and you can
Yes.
actually even have the opportunity to plan out to be even more generous.
Yes.
So you're not necessarily negating it.
And
But
you're actually adding to it. And
Yes.
that's what I liked the beginning with our financial planner, is he saw that that was a part of that was very important and it was a strong value to us. And so he didn't try to take away from that. He showed us how we could continue that.
Right.
And then looking at next steps, I know you gave us some software and programs where we can do it on our own. Because like we do TurboTax and all of those things on our own. And we're able to learn those things.
Yeah.
You know, and then it saves. And then anytime you want to sit down and re-look at it and tweak it, then you can.
Yeah. And I'll leave a link down below for those that are watching. Again, it's not going to be an affiliate link, even if I have one. I don't want to put it down there because at Good Fruit Investors, we really want to stay away as much as we can from feeling like we have to incentivize ourselves with that. So if you're wanting to just check it out, go and check it out yourself. Or if there's other softwares or things that you're looking at, go ahead and check them out. But the idea is really just, getting a financial software, getting something that you can actually break down the plan where it calculates like your CPP and your OAS and if you qualify for it, something like GIS or, other things like your pensions and, rates of returns and, looking at your sequence of return risk and all of these kinds of concepts that come up, right?
Because numbers don't lie and numbers are concrete.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what those numbers were or where you find them, but this program is very easy that way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really good. So if you're interested in finding out more about some tools that you can use, again, a couple weeks back, we have a video that we put out on how to basically set up a retirement plan. I'll leave a link for that down below as well too. So if you are wanting to crunch your own numbers and have a look at those things, you can go ahead and do that. So how do you feel now that you're kind of incorporating it? Do you feel like now that you're on the other side of having a financial plan, if you were to go back in the past, what kinds of advice would you give yourself? Like, would you encourage yourself to look at creating a financial plan back then? Or do you think...
Yeah, like when I look at our early years, we just physically probably did not have the money to be able to do that. I mean, we were really believing even just for food on the table. But as we got a little older, we had money that we could have definitely, like when you think $25 or $50, you think, oh, that's really nothing. But when you see what that can actually do, I would definitely encourage any of you younger ones to start with a small plan. The sooner the better, which they say. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that just because you're older that it's too late and not to even bother. For me, it has really brought I don't know, I feel like, no, you know what, we're not doing as bad as we thought we are. And that, there are things that I can do. And it's made me think creatively on things that I can do to be able to take and look at my future.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. It unpacks that. And the cool thing is, like when you're thinking even, back in the early days, do you think if you had like these softwares and even the education that's available today, do you think that, if you're trying to save your pennies, that might be a wise way of kind of getting started, like for those young people?
For sure. I mean, I remember even at 17 thinking, what is this stock market thing? And trying to find out about it. And I just never had people to be able to speak. I mean, we had to go to the library if we wanted information.
Right.
Or you had to go to school for it.
Yeah.
And so now when I look at what's available, wow, like what you guys can do without, like, because passive income is so much greater than having to work hard and work an hourly rate. Like you only go so far with that.
Yeah, like there's a certain sort of like time frame that you get to do that. Yeah.
But when you can start with where you're passively being able, like the Bible says that you can, even when you sleep, when you wake up, like your money is making money, basically. That's in a proverb. And so I look at that with investment. Now, I'm a kind of a zero risk kind of individual. I'm minimal. I don't like, but that's who I am. And so that's what I'm able to do.
Yeah, and maybe what I'll do is I'll also leave a link down below. There's an assessment that you can do, and you can find out what your risk tolerance might be. And the cool thing about this assessment tool is it's actually grounded in research. So one of the things with assessment tools is you can find all sorts of things online, and it could just be that they're manipulating the answers or the way that you answer it so that you come out to a certain score, or maybe they just didn't put it together very well. But with research and doing it with a research methodology, they're trying to aim for validity and reliability. So they want to make sure that it's repetitive and that that what it's trying to measure is correct. So anyways, it's an older one. So some of the questions might feel a little bit, outdated, but I think for the most part, it's probably a pretty good one to do. So, if you're interested in doing that, feel free to go and check that out. Yeah, so I really appreciate you taking the time to just share your thoughts and encouragement to be able to get others to kind of see how they can, take their journey and
Yes.
move forward in their finances. And so I'm looking forward to see all of you guys out at the next video that we have coming out. If you're wanting to follow us for more, make sure to hit that like button and then go and subscribe, and you'll be able to see all of the new videos that we have coming out at Good Fruit Investors.